You know, for decades, the Porsche 911 has been this absolute icon. It's a benchmark for performance, a total masterpiece of design, and a car you can spot from a mile away. But hidden beneath that famous shape is a fundamental engineering choice. A choice that a lot of people would actually call a flaw. A decision that has defined its entire character for over 60 years.
So what's the deal? Is the 911 this incredible feat of engineering brilliance, or is it just a stunningly beautiful car that's built around a huge mistake? Well, the answer to that question is wrapped up in the one thing that makes a 911 a 911. The engine is in the back. And that one little detail? It's the key to understanding everything that makes this car both a legend and, well, a real challenge.
All right, to really get the 911, we have to start with some basic physics. See, most cars, they're aiming for a perfectly balanced weight distribution, something close to 50-50 over the front and rear wheels. The 911, by hanging its heavy engine way out behind the rear axle, just completely throws that balance out of whack on purpose.
And you can see the challenge right here. Just look at the numbers. We're talking about a weight distribution of roughly 40% on the front axle and a massive 60% on the rear. And this isn't some tiny difference, folks. This is the core DNA of the car, and it dictates every single thing about how it behaves on the road.
So this setup creates a classic trade-off, a real give and take. The huge benefit, the pro, is that with all that weight sitting on the drive wheels, the 911 gets absolutely phenomenal traction. It just grips and launches. But the downside, the con, is that the front end is super light in comparison, which means it has a natural tendency to lift and lose grip, especially when you're going fast. So the big question becomes, how in the world do you keep the front end glued to the road?
Well, Porsche's engineers, they looked up to the sky for an answer. Seriously. If you can't solve a problem with mechanical weight, you solve it with invisible forces. You solve it with air. And this is where the engineering genius behind the 911 really starts to blow you away.
And this is how they do it. It's pretty amazing, actually. Modern 911s are constantly fighting that front-end lift with a whole suite of smart, active aerodynamics. You've got spoilers that extend automatically, flaps in the air intakes that close up at speed, and this incredibly advanced underbody design. It's all working together to use the air itself to create this powerful, invisible force that literally pins the front of the car to the pavement.
Okay, but keeping the nose down, that's really only half the battle. That heavy rear end creates this unique handling dynamic that is right at the heart of the 911's legendary and sometimes notorious reputation. It all boils down to two key ideas: understeer and oversteer.
All right, first up, let's talk about understeer. Picture this. You turn the steering wheel into a corner, but the car just kind of wants to push straight ahead. The front tires lose traction and the car plows wide. For pretty much every car manufacturer out there, this is what they want. It's the safe, predictable, engineered-in characteristic.
And then you've got its wilder, much scarier sibling, oversteer. This is the complete opposite. The rear tires lose grip first, and the back end of the car swings out. The car turns way more sharply than you wanted it to, and if you don't catch it immediately, you're going for a spin. And this is the beast that built the 911's fearsome reputation.
But wait a second. Here's the paradox, right? Modern 911s are painstakingly engineered to understeer first, just like any other safe, modern car. So if that's the case, why is it so famous for being dangerous? Why does everyone whisper about snap oversteer and how hard it is to tame a 911?
The answer is something called the pendulum effect, and it's all because of that engine hanging out in the back. Let's walk through it. Okay, you're flying into a corner, pushing the car hard. Then, you suddenly lift your foot off the gas. Bam! All that weight just lunges forward. This instantly takes all the load off the rear tires and they lose grip. With nothing holding it back, that heavy engine mass acts like a weight on a pendulum and just violently pivots the car into a spin. It's a chain reaction that can happen in the blink of an eye.
And all of this really brings us to a much bigger conversation. This isn't just about physics anymore. It's about philosophy. It's about a fundamental choice that every car designer has to make between ultimate safety and ultimate speed.
So on one hand, you have why car makers love understeer. Think about it. When the average driver panics in a corner, what do? They lift off the gas. And in an understeering car, that's actually the right move. It shifts weight forward, helps the front tires grip again. It's stable, it's predictable. But on the other hand, for a pro on a racetrack, a little bit of oversteer is fast. It lets a driver rotate the car through a corner and even steer with the throttle. It's way less stable, but it's way, way quicker. And this, right here, is where modern tech comes in and saves the day. Today's 911s are packed with this incredible electronic safety net, things like Porsche stability management. These systems are like a guardian angel, using a whole network of sensors and brakes to feel that pendulum effect starting, and they shut it down long before you, the driver, even realize you were in trouble.
You know, there's a quote from the source material that just hits the nail on the head. It says that car companies are designing for the absolute worst-case scenario for a driver who is already pushing things way too far. The car's #1 job isn't to be fast, it's to provide a safety net to keep a bad decision from turning into a disaster. And that leaves us with this big, lingering question, the one the Porsche 911 has been trying to answer for more than 60 years. By taking this flawed design and taming it with absolutely brilliant engineering, have they actually perfected the formula? Or is there some perfect line, somewhere between the safety nets that keep us on the road and the raw, untamed soul that makes a car truly thrilling? That right there is the paradox that makes the 911 one of the most fascinating machines ever built.